Hi everyone, and welcome to another adventure in our new series, The Great Botanical Journey. It's spring here. I've come down to Karikari to Mangrove Creek Farm to talk to Daryl and Vanya, who are expert growers. Vanya, how did you get involved in the industry?
Well, I'm actually a third generation flower grower, and I was running my parents' flower growing operation when I met Daryl, and he had studied horticulture and he was keen to get into his own flower growing operation. Eventually we got married and found a bare block of land, and this is Mangrove Creek that we've set up together. It's about 2 hours south of Auckland near Tauranga, and it's in the Bay of Plenty, which is aptly named because things grow really well down here. So there's a lot of flower growers in this area.
It's quite an important growing region for the country, isn't it?
It is, yes, yeah. Yeah, perfect climate, enough wind and rain to keep things happy, and plenty of sunshine.
We specialise in woody ornamentals and perennials. We grow things like hellebores, hydrangeas, proteas, viburnums. We've got flannel flower, pieris. It's called lily of the valley, but it is a pieris japonica. Generally, we grow them here opposite from what they'd grow other places in the world. Because we're exporting overseas to different markets, we're trying to just use our natural timing of the flowering crop to fit markets overseas when their product isn't flowering. So it's making sure we pick the flower at the right time, make sure we condition the flower using flower food, and then into temperature controlled environment. From there we pack the flowers out. They'll go into an atmospheric bag, and these special bags are to keep the moisture in the flower, and they then suck the ethane out. They don't age within that bag.
So they're suspended in life in a bag.
Yes.
Is that what you'd say?
Pretty much,
suspended.
yes.
I wonder if they could do that with me.
From here we get into chilled transport, and that chilled transport goes to our exporters, such as New Zealand Bloom. They will then deal with that flower, get it into the ship, into a plane, and that goes off to the customer. So it may only be 48 hours from the day, from the time we've picked them to the time it arrives to our customer. It's not very long. Each variety and each flower has their own little quirks and stuff. Things like our king proteas, they actually take 18 months from a bud to get to a point they flower, and we have to actually tie them up. Kind of like they do in the orchids with their things.
Oh yes, remember that when we saw that and they whirl them up. So do you have to do that with?
So we do that with a king protea, and it takes us 1.5 years to get them up to the point they flower. If we get big wind events, the king proteas, without tying up, they'd end up bending over and they'd face downwards, and we wouldn't get those straight stems that our customers want. The proteas flower for us twice a year, so we have a spring flush and we have an autumn flush. They're quite lovely that way.
When it comes to deciding what to grow, what decision making has to be made?
Well, we obviously need plants that will grow well in our area. So we look around gardens and see what's growing well. Things that we can propagate up easily. We like to use perennials, so they take 3 to 5 years to establish. So it can take a while for us to figure out whether they're going to work for us or not. We're obviously looking at overseas markets and seeing what the trends are, but again, because they're perennials and they're sticking around for a while, we don't want to be chopping and changing too much. That's probably why we grow such a big range, because I think I'd get bored of growing one thing.
Wouldn't you? Oh, yeah. It's gibberish for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, before I rush off, because I feel arrangements coming on, tips on how to condition the flowers at the other end, because this kind of worries me that there's a lot of new florists that are coming along, or people buy the flowers and they get them home and they don't know what to do with them. So what tips have you got?
Well, as a rule of thumb for anything, definitely cut the stem end when you get it home and put it in fresh water.
That's a slant cut.
Yep.
It's a slant cut.
And preferably something in the water, a couple of drops of bleach, just to keep the water as clean as possible, because you don't want the bacteria filling up the stems and then they can't suck up the water. Specifically for hellebores, a lot of people are afraid of hellebores because they think they droop very quickly. 3 things you can do. There's a boiling water treatment. So you dip the stem ends in boiling water.
Yes.
You'll see little bubbles coming out, and then put them in nice fresh water, preferably with a little bit of bleach in it. Another trick is to poke it with a needle, sticking a needle up the stem. But for us, what we use is a treatment called Quick Dip. And so we just literally quickly dip them in this treatment and then put them in the water. And yeah, they'll last for up to a week.
That was so interesting. I feel very much more well informed about what's involved in getting the flowers from the farm to the vase. This has been fantastic. So thank you for your time, but I must away now because I've got arrangements just bursting to get out.